Hi, also news from last May. Here I wanted to discuss Tara Reade's allegations that the Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden sexually assaulted her in 1993 when she was a staff assistant in his Senate office. I wanted to look at their nonverbals, that is their body language and microexpressions, to see who speaks the truth. Apparently only one of the two can be right, or there are gray areas. Particularly here I wanted to start with Joe Biden in this part of the video, and in the next discuss Tara Reade. Okay, let's get started.
Joe Biden. Mr. Vice President, thank you for coming on the show this morning. We have a lot we want to ask you this morning.
Corona.
Joe and Willie will join in just a moment, but at the start, it's just going to be you and me, and I want to get right to the allegation made against you by Tara Reade.
So there are a couple of things I want to establish right away. First of all, whenever she makes a statement, he either nods or he gives some indications that he recognized what she was saying, meaning there's no time delay, so the communication works fine. The second thing is when she speaks, he looks directly in the camera. So when people have these Zoom meetings, often you see people look down because of their laptop screen being very low, but he somehow looks in the camera when he observes her. So apparently she's on a rather big screen in the background and the camera is in line of sight at similar height and direction. This is just to establish this early on.
So the former Senate aide accuses you of sexual assault. And please, to our viewers, please excuse the graphic nature of this.
So excuse, he shakes the head right away, so spontaneous without any delays.
I want to make sure that there is no question as to what we're talking about. She says in 1993, Mr. Vice President, that you pinned her against the wall and reached under her clothing and penetrated her with your fingers. Would you please go on the record with the American people? Did you sexually assault Tara Reade?
No, it is not true. I'm saying unequivocally, it never happened. And it didn't. It never happened.
So also the answer was relatively long. He said quickly, no, it isn't true. So it was a clear answer. So that could be a signature of a truthful answer. However, we know he's very well coached by his lawyers and body language experts. So this is to be expected. Let's see when he's a little bit pushed how he reacts.
Do you remember her? Do you remember any types of complaints that she might have made?
I don't remember any type of complaint she may have made. It was 27 years ago, and I don't remember, nor does anyone else that I'm aware of. And
so we see his very small eyes and his very tight temples and wrinkly forehead. So that makes him look very sleepy, first of all, and slow, but at the end also very narrow-minded. And then from the wrinkling or the absence of wrinkling here at the right temple and around the mouth and how crooked it is, there are signatures of facelifts, but then he's an American politician, so no surprise.
The fact is that I don't remember. I don't remember any complaint ever having.
He doesn't remember any complaint, but then his right shoulder went up. That's an asymmetric shoulder shrug. Any asymmetry in behavior is often considered deceptive because it doesn't involve the whole body. It might be calculated, controlled by the left hemisphere of his brain, the logical part of his brain. But we have to look for clusters of behavior and so on. Maybe his left shoulder is paralyzed and only he can move the right shoulder. We don't know.
Have you or your campaign, have you reached out to her?
No, I have not reached out to her.
Again, right shoulder shrug. Maybe say did reach out to her to pay her off. Who knows?
27 years ago, this never happened. And when she first made the claim, we made it clear that it never happened.
Again, small eyes, narrow-minded view.
And that's as simple as that.
Again, right shoulder shrug, so they keep coming up. Red flags.
If there was any such complaint, the record will be there. Are you preparing us for a complaint that might be revealed in some way? Are you confident there is nothing?
I'm confident there's nothing. No one ever brought it to the attention of me 27 years ago.
Again, very critical, narrow-minded view.
This is any assertion at all. No one that I'm aware of in my campaign at my Senate office at the time is aware of any such request and or any such complaint.
Oops. So here's something unusual happening. So his mouth is very distorted when he says complained. So there's a lot of tension here. And it again shows signatures of facelifts. He almost looks like an alien where the fake skin has moved.
And so
Again,
I'm not
right shoulder shrug.
worried about it at all. If
It could mean that he actually is worried.
there is a complaint, that's where it would be. That's where it would be filed. And if it's there, put it out. But I've never seen it. No one has that I'm aware of.
The New York Times has investigated this exhaustively. They didn't find any of your former staff members were able to corroborate the details of this allegation. She did file a police report a few weeks.
So now he seems to be staring. So he becomes very still. So not sure if he gets instructions on the side he's focusing on. It almost looks like he's not listening to her, but that he's focusing on other instructions he might be getting at this moment from his lawyers, for instance.
Ago with the DC police. But since you want
He
to
looks completely absent-minded.
set the record straight, why limit this only to Tara Reade? Why not release any complaints that had been made against you during your Senate
So now you see his eyes going down, like he's reading something off, some instructions. So that's why he's probably very absent-minded.
career?
I'm prepared to do that. The best of my knowledge, there's been no complaints made against me in terms of my Senate career, in terms of my office and anything that's been run. Look, this is an open book. There's nothing for me to
Again, he looked down.
hide. Nothing at all.
You were unequivocal, Mr. Vice President, back in 2018 during the Kavanaugh controversy and hearings. And
He's again very still, staring. So he seems distracted with other things.
you said that women should be believed. You said this: for a woman to come forward in the glaring lights of focus nationally, you've got to start off with the presumption that at least the essence of what she is talking about is real. Whether or not she forgets the facts.
So it was almost like he stuck the tongue out when she said facts. So something didn't taste very well.
Made worse or better over time. She's going to be going on national television on Sunday.
Very still, very distracted.
Tara Reade is coming forward in the glaring lights. To use your words, should we not start off with the presumption that the essence of what she's talking about is real? She says you sexually assaulted her.
Again, time delay. Like he's thinking about something else. He's reading off instructions he's getting from his lawyers.
Look, from the very beginning, I've said believing women means taking the woman's claims seriously when she steps forward and then vet it.
Is it possible these claims are held in an NDA? Do you have any NDAs that have been signed by women who were...
So he's slightly turning his head to hear better. He's shaking his head, so apparently he doesn't have any NDAs.
There's no NDA signed.
That looks believable. Synchrony between his speech and his body language is shaking.
And no one's ever signed. I've never asked anybody.
And he's even using illustrators, his hands, so all is fine here.
An NDA. There are no NDAs.
No NDAs,
period,
apparently.
in my case, none.
Okay.
But why not reveal your Senate documents?
So she keeps pushing with the archive and so on, and now you see him look down. See it.
That are being held in Delaware. I know there's
He's reading.
1,800
He's looking down.
plus boxes.
He's completely absent-minded because he's not even listening to her. He's looking down to read the instructions, the flashcards, the screen, wherever his lawyers, his team, his body language experts telling him how to react and what to say. So he's just a puppet.
But if
Completely distracted.
If she believes and she alleges that the complaints may be hidden there, why not?
This asymmetric smile, the sign of contempt, might be actually about something he was reading, or might have actually nothing to do with what she said. It seemed out of place.
Strive for complete transparency. Why was the access to those documents sealed
Looking down again, reading off,
up when they were supposed to be
absent-minded.
revealed?
Well, they weren't supposed to be revealed. I gave them the university. The university said it's going to take them time to go through all the boxes. They are public records, my speeches, my papers, my position papers. And if that document existed, it would be stored in the National Archives where...
The language is very fluid. He even used illustrators. He moved his head a tiny bit. So here he's telling the truth, or at least he knows very well what to say.
Reports in Business Insider, and she claims that possibly a complaint or some sort of record of this might be at the University of
So he squints his eyes. He's going forward to hear better. He's critical about what he's hearing. He doesn't like it.
Delaware. So, for complete
Shaking his head.
transparency, why not push for the release of any documents with Tara Reade's name on them, whether it's at the University of Delaware or the National Archives?
She keeps asking the same questions, which is actually a good method to drive the other person mad and knock him out of balance, to get truthful answers.
First of all, let's get this straight. There are no personnel documents.
So here she squints her eyes and he's shaking her head, so she is not believing what she's hearing. She doesn't agree.
They don't get put out in the public. So they're not part of the public record. That, in fact, is that any senator or vice president or president has in their documents. Look,
she is quite outspoken, forceful, so that's believable.
There was one place that she could file the complaint. That's where the complaint would be if it exists.
Given the fact that you have
So she crossed her arms, she looks angry and even disgusted, so she doesn't believe him at all.
said in the past that if a woman goes under the lights and talks about something like this, we have to consider that the essence of this is real.
The essence and the essence. So she keeps repeating her questions, which is actually a good thing.
Is the essence of what she is saying
Again,
is real?
essence?
Why do you think she's doing this?
I'm not going to question her motive.
High-level Democrats said she should be believed, that they believed it happened.
So she keeps going back to the same question. Amazing.
You said if someone like Dr. Ford were to come out, the essence of what
The
she's
essence. For the 5th time or something like that.
saying has to be believed, has to be real.
No.
Why?
And no, what I said,
Why?
it has to
Why
be.
is it real?
Now he's looking down again at his instructions.
Dr. Ford,
Again,
but
look,
not
he's
for Tara
reading off.
Reade.
They're
Absent-minded, false start of speech because he's absent-minded.
The facts are look.
He closes the eyes, he's getting annoyed, he doesn't want to look at this anymore, he had enough. And the hands become more aggressive now. And there are signs of anger and tension.
I'm not suggesting she had no right to come forward. Ultimately, the truth matters. The truth matters. It's period. I fought mine.
He raises the eyebrows to give his speech a lot of emphasis. He wants to drive the message home that women can speak out and so on.
Entire life to change the whole notion of the law and cultural sexual around the culture around sex.
Very good. Here he mixes up the words.
The law and cultural sexual around the culture around sexual assault. And I fought to strengthen and protect the process for survivors. I believe that we've come a long way, and we have a long way to go in this system before we, in fact, are in a position that there's a fair and unbiased view. There's no I mean, they're not true.
There's no cooperation. That might be a Freudian slip of the tongue. It might indicate he doesn't want to cooperate with her or her lawyers, whatever.
Mr. Vice
I don't know what else I can say to you.
Well, I'm going to try and ask many different ways.
So now he's reading off, using the pause where she keeps repeating the same question.
Stacey Abrams
Totally
said
absent-minded.
during the Kavanaugh hearings, I believe women, I believe survivors of
So she repeats exactly the same question.
assault should be supported and the voice is heard.
And he doesn't
Kirsten Gillibrand
listen.
tweeted, do we believe women? Do we give them the opportunity to tell their story? We must be a country that says yes every time.
Reading.
They now both support you. Nancy Pelosi falls into this category too,
Reading.
as well as many other leaders in the Democratic Party. Are women to be believed?
Mouth opening
Are women to be believed
because
unless
he's
it pertains to
concentrating.
you?
Delay, huge delay, because he was still reading and now completely annoyed.
Look, women are to be believed, given the benefit of the doubt, if they come forward and say something that
She shakes her head, closes her eyes, very critical, not believing.
that they said happened to them. They should start off with the presumption they're telling the truth. Then you have to look at the circumstances and the facts, period.
But why is it different now? Do you regret what you
She's like a broken record.
said during the Kavanaugh hearings?
So he gets more and more pushed, which is good.
Are you absolutely positive there is no record of any complaint by Tara Reade against you?
So she keeps pushing him with the same questions until he explodes a bit.
I'm absolutely positive that no one that I'm aware of ever has been made aware of any complaint, a formal complaint made by or a complaint by Tara Reade against me at the time this allegedly happened 27 years ago, or until I announced for I guess it was in April or May of this year.
So it was a 20-second answer and you could hear her breathe, completely annoyed. And this was a completely convoluted answer, but it just shows that he has it in his head, that he is well prepared and coached, that he can form these long convoluted sentences and still make some sense out of it. So it also makes him look very arrogant, like he's toying with her and superior. So here, because he was pushed, we could see a little bit more about him, what's going on.
Do you agree with the reporting that those records were supposed to be revealed to the public and then they were resealed for a longer period of time until
He's reading off again, completely still and absent-minded.
after you leave, quote, public life? And if you agree with that, if that's
Again, reading off.
what happened,
Still
why
reading
did
off.
that happen?
Delay.
Because, look,
I'm just asking, why not do it?
Again, reading off. Mouth open. He's concentrating, completely absent-minded.
A search for Tara Reade's name in the University of Delaware records.
look, Mika,
Now he's telling her off. She looks sad. She has also contempt. She feels misunderstood, alone, concerned. You know, it's a little wrinkle up here.
she said she filed a report.
Totally annoyed look.
If you could speak directly to Tara Reade about her claims or anything, what would you say?
So we see her nostrils inflate. This is a sign of anger. She doesn't believe him.
This never, ever happened. I don't know what is motivating her.
Okay. It's somewhat hard to read him. He keeps stoically denying that he assaulted her sexually. And based on some of his responses, one could believe him. However, he is so massively trained and prepared for this that one can't read very much into it. The most significant part was probably where he was reading off instructions, so just indicating that he's not alone in this room with a cameraman. He's surrounded by a team of lawyers and experts advising him. And then there were delays. There were also a few right shoulder shrugs, so some indication that he's not fully certain about what he says, but other parts, they were quite believable, where he looked angry and spontaneous and with illustrators. Okay, so in the next part I will talk about Tara Reade. See you in the next video. Bye.